You got this other sound going on over here. It's killer. There may be a section with like, well, let's see, I could put it through a speaker sound in this one section. Like, I heard that a million times, but nobody has your bathroom door. It's like that microphone is stuffed over there. Matt and I were just talking about this. On the other side of this column, there's a PZM mic, a boundary mic,
right up here.
that's smashed up against.
Square that's right up here on this.
Yeah, boundary mics, if you haven't seen them, if you've been in a church or wherever, you may see them plastered on a podium. They look like a little square, and they're turning this surface into more of the extension of the microphone. So as the sound is bouncing off this, it's actually capturing that. Killer for just about anything. Drum sounds, guitar sounds. Bass drums? Yeah, exactly. Machine guns.
I want to tell this is kind of going back to the headphone thing and talking about the 2-mic thing. It's not a stereo trick, but we get a lot of visiting engineers here at the studio, and there's an engineer by the name of Carl Durfler who works with Tom Waits, and he's worked with Dave Matthews, and a lot of big names, blah, blah, blah. But he was here doing a record with this woman in San Francisco named Callie Price for Porto Franco Records, and it was basically like drums, upright bass, Callie in the center, grand piano, horn section, everybody in the room together, guitar player on the back wall, and Callie didn't want to wear headphones. In fact, nobody wanted to wear headphones except the horn players. So Carl had this concept. We kind of powwowed back and forth over how we were going to like make Callie happy and accomplish what we wanted. So he had this old Sony, I think I might have the model number wrong, I think it's a C37 old tube mic that she sang in, and the main vocal was captured to that, and it was right in the middle of the room. I mean, everybody was in the room. There was no gobos. There was nothing. Everybody was just playing to the room without headphones. But Callie had to hear herself, and the people around her, mainly the drummer and the bass player, had to hear her. So we took above that C37, we took a Sennheiser 441 for, the Stevie Nicks mic, the long square silver one. Put that over her, or over that main mic for her, and that's like a very hypercardioid type mic. And then we ran that to a little mixer which fed a power amp, which fed a pair of Auratone speakers out of phase from each other. We did the whole, James Hetfield Metallica speaker trick thing. And put that, made an equilateral triangle, and so she could actually hear herself, and we got zero bleed from the speakers. Everybody around her could hear her. She could hear herself. There's no headphones involved. And he captured the entire thing live. There was no overdubs. And the sound of it was it was unbelievable what this guy did. It was like so old-timey sounding and so natural, and like, like an old-time record, like happening in the 21st century. It was the most amazing thing to witness.
That's impressive.
Killer. It's fantastic to listen to classic recordings like that.
The thing about it too is headphones are like, people are not listening to each other, they're listening to the headphones. So your mix is like jacked. So half the time when you find out like people's, like the hi-hat on the drummer thing, that is like totally all about like taking the headphones off when drummers are playing. It's like everything is, I'm like the biggest person about no headphones in the tracking session.
Oh yeah, and he's
if he's not playing to a click.
Sebastian's done like 15-piece salsa bands in here where didn't everybody want headphones?
Everybody wanted headphones, but I asked the headphones, like no. They thank me later.
Yeah.
At the time, it's like that right there is like, I mean, that is so cutting edge to clients. Like no headphones, they think you're stupid.
Absolutely.
Clearly, you're not professional.
Oh, dude, I love tracking without headphones. It's like, who freed me? It's great. You go to rehearsal and you work on stuff for 2 months, and you get to the studio and you're like, it sounds nothing like rehearsal.
But what if the drummer wants to be on a click? You just give him one side, and that's it.
Yeah, you guys are things different.
Yeah, that's several options for that. I actually brought my MIDI syncable vibrating metronome with me tonight, which is pretty freaking awesome. But
I got a question for Matt and Sebastian about that. How much do you think the room affects the sound? I mean, can you do that in any room, or in a room like this it really works because you don't have all the reflections?
Yeah, I mean, this room being as large as it is, it's really pretty neutral. I mean, we can hear each other without yelling across the room, but it also deals with volume load. I mean, Keith Urban's been in here with a 6-piece band, everybody firing away with guitar amps, and it still sounded good. So, no, you can't get away with it with every room. You know, if you have low ceilings, if you have a lot of reflective surfaces, it's definitely a challenge.
Or even a room that's too dead. For me, like rehearsal spaces is usually going to axe that concept because the vocal just dies.
Wow.
You just can't keep anybody in.
Yep.
To follow up on that topic on
Sure.
the live recording end of things in the I think in the mid-70s or so. You're gonna have to check this one because I'm gonna have it close but no guitar. But in the mid-70s, the Dead experimented with putting two microphones right next to each other. Because this is in the era, I believe, when they're doing the wall of sound thing, where they had like 4 billion speakers behind them, and they're experimenting with two mics on there, flip one out of phase so that it wouldn't get as much trouble out of it. But if you hear recordings from that era, there's something about the vocal end of things that are just thinned out and stuff. But again, Google that up and look it up because I might be mixing up a couple different eras.
That's one of those performance matters more than the home filtering it.
You're right. I think it's David Carroll Associates. I think he developed that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you sing into one mic, and the other mic is right next to it, and it cancels out because it's a big wall of speakers behind you. So it would feed back, but you have the two mics canceling each other out.
Yeah.
So
At least in the PA for PA.
yeah,
Right.
for PA, right. So for PA, but for the vocal, so it's really important that the vocalist has to be right on one mic because he's going to be picked up in that mic, and then the two mics together are canceling out the PA.
Yep.
You know, when you're doing live sound, that's an amazing monitor trick. If everything's on the edge of disaster, and the monitors are right about the feedback, the house is starting to feed. Just take half of the mics on stage and flip them out of phase. If you've got a console, do that, and it's unbelievable. I have to do that at the Nord all the time. I'll just tell the sound guy, hey, take this one in and take this one out and do this one. All of a sudden, the monitors are just gone. Wow, that's great, and nobody's scared.
All right.
That's
To go back to your comment about you referred to MS recording using a cardioid mic and a figure 8 mic. I'm a big fan of that and Bloomline, and that could be really cool for vocals. We'll talk about that on other things. I'm a huge fan on guitars and drums, and it's a technique where you have a cardioid mic pointed at the source, and you have a figure 8 mic right above that, and you're recording two tracks, but there's some preamps and software that'll do what's called MS decoding for you. MS stands for mid-side. What you do in a DAW is take the side mic, which is your figure 8. Your cardioid mic's picking up this stuff. Your figure 8 mic is picking up stuff left and right, but it's not a stereo microphone. It's still coming through a single track, one cable. Flip the polarity on that mic and duplicate that track in your DAW. So you've got your front source mic, the mid mic, and your side mic. Then you're going to duplicate that side mic track. You're going to flip the polarity on that mic and slowly bring up your two figure 8 mics, and the sound's just going to go whoosh, really wide and really cool. There's a spot when you go up too high that it just sounds kind of lame and thin. Very fine line, but I use that a lot on a record that had one guitar player, bass, drums, and a singer, and they didn't want to do a lot of overdubs. It's a really great way to get one guitar sound to sound like it's filling up all this space instead of 57 in the grill, and you're like, I'm going to pan it here and I might delay it a little here. It's killer. So if you haven't used that yet, give it a shot. Bloomline is great for that. It's same technique relatively, except you're using a figure 8 pointed at the source, so it's picking up information in front and behind, and the other figure 8 above it is picking up left and right. So you're getting more information, and I use that on guitar sometimes. Killer. So
to take that a logical step further, you put a 30-inch boom and two reference mics out on the end of it pointing that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets you even
big
more.
Figure 8. Right.
Big figure 8. Yeah.
Right. Wow, that's freaky. I gotta try that.
Try that on. That works great on cello. It'll just like make you cry.
That's something to think about too is when you're doing, if you're going to flip the polarity in the digital realm, you are going to have to insert a gain or something really simple. to do that. Make sure you put one on the original track, but don't flip the phase out, so you have two identical plugins on. I find that it gets a little weird sometimes.
Oh, you mean with latency compensation?
Yeah, it's just
Right,
weird.
right.
It's nice to have both, have them pristine. And actually, I prefer if you've got an extra preamp, identical preamp, make a phase reverse cable, and come in 3 tracks with it.
Right.
You know, mid and then side in phase and side out of phase,
Oh,
and
yeah,
do it,
okay.
come into it that way. I think it just, there's just something,
If your DAW has latency
Yeah.
compensation, you can get that squared away. Then it'll work that way. But that's craftier because there's no more digital foolery going on.
yeah, it's just
to be preamps.
analog phase flip, and you go.
Yeah, the True Systems Precision 8, if anybody's played one of those, has that. Just a couple. Anybody know the preamps that have a mid-side feature built in?
Dangerous
Pretty
Box
easy.
is on the premium thing.
Which one?
But this Dangerous makes a box that'll do it too, I think.
Oh, for from mixing,
Mastering, but you can-
mastering, right?
Yeah,
So
you
even,
preamp the phase reverse on it.
Evenson Audio, they make a
Mm.
mid-side decoder thing? or
Oh, cool.
decoder?
Just it's a dedicated box.
Yeah, just a mid-side thing.
Killer technique. Any of these things that, if anybody's starting out or getting into, or even if you've been doing it a while and you hear something you hadn't thought of, write it down, because I'll definitely go home and look stuff up and be like,
The Universal Audio DCS remote preamp
Mhm.
had something in it for mid-side decoding or encoding.
right.
Yeah.
That was a great sounding preamp.
It is.
They got rid of it though, didn't they?
Discontinued.
They
Yeah.
discontinued it. But I got one.
That was, I remember when that came out. Cool box.
That's cool because you can put the
Preamp
mic preamp
in
up
the
to
room.
like a couple hundred feet away.
Mhm.
A little Ethernet cable to your controller.
Had a monitor controller too, right?
Yeah, and so you can send back stuff out of your workstation back to a set of headphones, got a headphone amp right on it.
Mhm.
So I use that for rear channel mics on live recordings.
Right
So
on.
I could be like hundreds of feet away, front of house, and I know it's mic level, hundreds of feet. I can send line level,
Mhm. Right.
hundreds of feet, so a little better.
Right on.
Can you clarify your glum line discussion? Because my I guess understanding of it was you took 2 figure eights and they were like this, and the source was in the middle, and you're describing it as more of a front and back, left and right thing, or are those 2 different related techniques?
You know, I haven't seen it actually with the mid, even in Bloomline, being off center. I haven't seen that before, so I'd be curious to
Bloomline is just a.
2 figure eights.
It's 2 figure eights, but it's like XY, you know, so your center is, you know, I think, if you're, how do you describe it? If you have, well, it's two bidirectional, right, and if one is facing you and away from you, and then the other one's this way, that's more of a mid-side thing.
Right.
Right? Bloomline would be where you got the cross this way, right, and you're
Interesting.
in the
That's
center.
exactly the
It's like
opposite
an
of
XY
what
pair
I
with
read.
and
That's
then
good
you
to
don't
know.
have to decode it at all. Like you would put it maybe in front of drums or something like that.
That's cool. There's a whole dissertation on that. I think even on the Cascade site. That's just and I think I actually may have seen that somewhere and went, oh, somebody thinks
Wikipedia has tons of that stuff too.
that's freaky. So you're saying that it's almost like an XY, but
Yeah.
using 2 figure eights.
Yeah.
A Cascade site promoting it the other way, and I used it as mid-side, and I was like, this is cool because it's a figure eight, and you're picking up at least more information.
That's really cool what you're describing.
Now I kind of want to go home and do the other thing. I'm like,
You
get my
know,
wife to break out the cello or something.
Bloomline, you know, who uses that is Bruce Badine. He
Hmm.
uses Bloomline all the time, especially for vocals, group vocals,
Yeah,
background
right.
vocals. So
Yeah.
just get everyone in a circle around Bloomline, and you know, it's just.
That takes us back to the whole stereo vocal micing thing, because I think Bruce Sweeney, or however you say his name, he did a lot of Michael Jackson records with stereo micing, because he stereo mic'd everything.
Everything,
because
right.
he felt like it gave it more dimension. So
Yeah.
he paid very close attention to the vocals. It's 2 tracks of vocals, or 2 mics of vocals.
Unlike the 96 tracks and stuff on in the early 80s.
That makes me think there should be another name like Bloomline and Bloomline Line Pro or something. Yeah.
Because in mid side can be anything for
For the
the
mid.
one mic. For the mid, the mid
Hmm.
mic can be anything, but the other one it has to be a
Figure eight.
figure eight.
This sounds like a BARMMAP inquisition we should figure out and post it on the site. It says here!
Has anyone done that with an audio?